Houston, we have a podcast.
Diving deep into all things Texans, both on and off the field. Here's Sean Pendergast and Pro Football Hall of Famer, the General, John McClain. Welcome to Houtopia.
Let's get to your news and notes, John. The general news and notes, we do this every Tuesday before we hit the mailbag. What do you got for us, my friend?
Well, I've already I mentioned guys in coverage. I looked up opposing quarterback rating against the Texans. And the best by far in 7 starts, Derek Stingley Jr., 55.2. That is incredible. The others, not so much. Jalen Petrie, the opposing quarterback rating going against him, 149.8.
Okay, and just for point of reference, perfect is 158.3. That's the maximum your passer rating can be in the NFL. And Jalen Petrie is what, 149.3?
149.8.
0.8. Oh, my God. Wow.
The worst linebacker, and we've seen this all year, Henry To'oTo'o, 136.4. But Christian Harris, who had a terrible game Sunday, his rating against him, 115. Now, the best linebacker, Sean, is we would be easy to pick out would be Blake Cashman, 77.6, but he left the game and may not even play.
He's hurt too. Yeah, John, that gets lost in the wash just because it's Stroud and it's Nico, and that just is a completely debilitating blow to your offense. But Blake Cashman going out that's no small potatoes right there either.
Let's see. Steven Nelson's is real good. Jimmy Ward's is bad, 91.2. So the corners have been good, except Javier Thomas, 110 rating against him. But Steven Nelson and Derek Stingley have been good. Problems with safety have not been, and the linebackers have not been, other than Cashman. Other than that, it's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly. What's Sheldon Rankins' passer rating against, John? Let's give me some of the defensive linemen just to give me some zeros there or something.
Unfortunately, I didn't do any.
I'm joking.
Any of them, but Sheldon Rankins has 5 sacks. He got his 5th against the Jets. That's the most he's had since 2014 when he had 8. He's been a terrific addition.
Shout out to John Grenard too. Hit double digits on sacks with the 2 sacks he had this past Sunday against the New York Jets. John, is your hope that Derek Stingley Jr. just follows DeAndre Hopkins all over the field on Sunday?
That would be the best way to do it. He's by far their best receiver. Let's see what the young guy can do against the old guy who had a great game on Monday night. He is, let's see, if he has over 100 yards again, he'll hit 1,000. He's going to be way over 1,000, it looks like now, because he's not. Nico Collins already hit it. I believe Diop is like 110, something like that, out. By the way, John Grenard, who played a tremendous game in an otherwise terrible performance by the defense second half, he is the first Texan to hit double digits since J.J. Watt in 2018 when he had 16.
Yep. That was JJ. That was the one kind of healthy year JJ had on the back end of his Texans career. He fully healthy and fully productive. He was healthy in 2020, but that was just a weird season. So yeah, good for old Jonathan Grenard, or as the Pat McAfee show crew calls him, Johnny Greenard.
Yeah, that's what my mind's going blank. Guard who does film work every week from the NFL Network.
Baldinger.
Yeah. Who?
Yeah.
Baldinger. Yeah, he calls him Greener.
Yeah, Brian Baldinger.
Jonathan Greener. By the way, Greener's going to make a lot of money, and you hope it's from the Texans because he's real good against the run. He and Will Anderson Jr. are the best duo against the run in the league who play on the edge. Now, another one, this is interesting. You think of how bad the Texans have been these last few years. They gave up 0 points in the first half. That's the first time that's happened since 2019 when they did it at Tennessee back when they were 10-6 and won their last AFC South title. And that was just such a weird game. 30 points in the second half. I don't know about you, Sean. I thought at halftime they had a chance. They played all those close games. They had a chance to win another one, wait for a Stroud miracle. Where were you at halftime?
I was I had tweeted this when Nico went down and when the rain was a real factor. Is that, John, these two teams are basically equals right now. You take Nico Collins out, you add elements into a quarterback who CJ, for whatever reason, has some sort of, it feels like some sort of textural thing going on with a wet football. Remember there was that blurb on the mic'd up of him telling Dieter to change his jersey because Dieter couldn't stop sweating. So I thought that I thought between Mother Nature and Nico Collins' injury, they were basically mirror images of each other. And whichever team did something stupid first was going to lose the football game. They gave up a touchdown pass early in the second half. The Texans did to Randall Cobb. That qualifies as stupid for me. So that's where I was, which I just felt like the first team to make a big mistake was going to be the one to lose that football game because I thought points were going to be very scarce in the second half, which was true for the Texans. They were very scarce in the second half. But the Jets had no problem moving the football. The Jets, John, essentially made the weather a non-excuse. Once Zach Wilson threw for 300 yards, you no longer can use rain as an excuse. I think what happened in that game, other than injuries, because they were flat, at least offensively from the get-go, and I don't think they were great defensively either. I mean, the Jets drove into Texans territory a couple times in the first half of that football game and shot themselves in the foot getting backed out of field goal range. I know they punted 6 times, the Jets did, but they did have a little bit of success moving the football in the first half, and it was raining in the first half. John, that looked to me, and I'm not making excuses. This is no excuse. I'm just giving you my diagnosis. That looked to me like a group that came out of the tunnel, looked around, saw that it was gray, dreary, rainy, a hostile New York crowd, I guess hostile with air quotes. You're playing an opponent that's not really an opponent that's got a ton of juice. They looked like 53 guys that didn't really feel like being at work that day. Just the environment was a blah kind of environment, and that was conveyed in their quality of play.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And of course, Robert Saleh had the Jets ready to play. Check out these Texans drives.
Yeah.
Punt, 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 touchdown, downs, down, game over.
Yep.
Boy, they were awful on both sides of the ball. I got one more note here.
Okay.
Texans have beaten 4 quarterbacks who were the first overall pick in the draft. Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. They've also beaten Russell Wilson and Derek Carr. They've been good for a long time. But they can't beat Zach Wilson, Bryce Young, or Desmond Ridder III. How do you explain it?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I wrote that down, John. I jotted that down the other day during the show. These are the 6 quarterbacks they lost to. These are the 7 quarterbacks that they've beaten. And you're absolutely right. Kenny Pickett was the other quarterback. He was a first-round pick that they beat this season. But yeah, the 6 quarterbacks they lost to, Lamar Jackson, basically Gardner Minshew. I mean, Anthony Richardson was knocked out of that game. They lost to a combination of Minshew and Richardson. And then Ridder, Young, no crime in losing to Trevor Lawrence, but then Zach Wilson. It's just, John, I think, I mean, I don't want to oversimplify this. They are a largely young football team with some solid veteran free agents, but no world beaters. They didn't sign any Pro Bowlers in free agency or anything like that. They're a much more talented roster than they used to be, but they're a team that the core players on this team don't really have a great grasp on how to win week to week at the NFL level. I mean, Will Anderson and CJ Stroud and many of the young players on the team have been part of winning programs in college, but that doesn't translate to knowing what to do week to week to win in the NFL. This is who they are. They're a middle-of-the-pack football team, and middle-of-the-pack football teams occasionally lose to bad teams, and occasionally they rise up and beat good teams. I said this, I think, on Sunday with you, and I've said it during the season, and I'll say it again. If they're going to go and be 9-8 this year, which that's what it's looking like right now, I'm not picking them to win this game this weekend, and I think there's probably another loss on there somewhere. So 9-8. And I don't know if that's good enough to get into the postseason or not with all the tiebreakers that they own over some of these teams. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If I have a 500 football team that's back on a winning track for the first time in 4 years, it's largely a young team with an ascending young franchise quarterback. I'm willing to live with, in the rebuilding year, in the reascension year, I'm willing to live with losses to teams like Carolina and the Jets with Zach Wilson if it's mixed in with things like wins over Cincinnati in Cincinnati, wins over Pittsburgh with a hostile Pittsburgh crowd here in Houston, and we could go through, beating Jacksonville in Jacksonville early in the season. Beating Denver. Look, Denver all of a sudden is getting all this love again. A week after losing to the Texans, Denver goes out and they destroy the Chargers this weekend, and now Denver's right back in the top 10 in a lot of people's power rankings. So this thing, the recency bias in the NFL is worse than it's ever been because of social media. The Texans go into Tennessee and they win that football game. They're everybody's darling again. Like they did it without their quarterback and they did it without their weapons. And boy, this was D'Amico Ryan's defining moment as a head coach. That's what the narratives will be. So I'm totally cool with where they're at overall right now. And the fact that I can live with the losses to bad teams because there's 3 or 4 wins over really good teams mixed in there as well.
Saw a stat this morning that said listed records against teams with winning records, and the Texans are one of the few teams with a winning record against teams with winning records.
John, I think that bodes really well for the future of this football team. When you get better as a team, you know what gets eliminated? Losses to teams like Carolina. You know what I mean? You don't stop beating the good teams. You eliminate the losses to the bad teams. So that's what I'm excited about.
All right, let me ask you, if you can improve one thing
from
this team right now and take away quarterback, because we assume Stroud will be back at some point, but if you can improve one thing, what would it be?
Running game on offense, and it's not even close because it's an offensive league. I know points have come down this year than years past, but it's still a league that is largely dictated by being able to score points, being able to go get points at crucial junctures in the game, converting third downs, things like that. It's not, John, it's a total no-brainer running game. And the ability to run the ball on 1st and 10, not getting 16-yard runs when it's 1st and 25. I don't count any of those. These Devin Singletary runs when it's end of the half and the defense is loosened up, or it's 1st and 25 and Dameon Pierce is getting 22. I don't even count those. I want this running game to be able to line up on 1st and 10 and give you 2nd and 3. I want this team to be able to line up and run the football in fourth quarters of games when they need to burn clock out and they're not leaning on CJ Stroud to throw short passes to do that. To me, it's a total no-brainer, John. You get the running game going. And because this we know, they're still going to run the football. If I've got to watch them run the football, I want to watch them run the football well. What about you? What's yours?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Clearly. And they're going up against a good run defense that doesn't have Jeffrey Simmons, their best player. They've just gone up against the 32nd and the tied for 28th worst run defenses, and they still can't run.
Can't run. Yeah, it's wild. So that's mine, John, and it's not even close, honestly. All right. So that's it for our news and notes, John.
That's it.
All right, good stuff as always. That's the general news and notes. We do it every Tuesday. A few little tidbits to make you a little smarter at the water cooler. All right, John. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.